Hello, Keith Rucker at VintageMachinery.org. So, we are in the midst of our second Richard King machinery building and scraping class that's going on here at my shop this week. And we've got 12 people in participating in class, including myself. Myself and one other student is actually a veteran of taking the class. All the other ones are first timers through the course. And I thought what we'd do is just kind of, as people show up this morning, go around the room and throughout the week kind of give you some updates. So yesterday was day one, and for the newbies doing things, they're basically just starting from scratch, and they've been practicing with their hand scrapers, just learning the basics of getting something flat. And I suspect they'll be continuing to work on that through part of the morning, and by lunchtime today, most everybody will be graduating to a power scraper versus a hand scraper to do that. So I got with me here Mike Wiggins. Some of you guys probably recognize Mike. He's got a YouTube channel, Backyard Machine Shop. You've heard me talk about him before, and he's actually down from Statesboro, Georgia. He's taking the class this week. Kind of the first one in the shop this morning. We're the early birds. Folks will start rolling in here in a minute, but I don't know. We finished day one. How's it going, Mike?
Yeah, it was rough. Found some muscles I didn't know I had, or didn't remember I had. But feel good this morning, ready to go.
Good deal. So tell them what y'all been working on as far as learning the basics of scraping here.
Yeah, well, we're working on some plates. These are just test plates that we were given in class, and the goal is to scrape them, get them scraped flat, and start getting them blued, and eventually get them to 20 points per inch. Right now, I'm still concentrating on getting it flat, and so basically yesterday, Richard had taken us through. He taught us some techniques, and we all thought we were really getting good at it, and then when we had to get it flat, it was another story.
Yeah, they started, and what they're working on, this is some cast iron Durabar, and Richard actually shipped a bunch of it down, and it was just literally cut with a bandsaw, and I milled the tops, I thought, fairly flat, but this Durabar is really tough stuff, and I noticed when I took it off the mill, these things were really hot. I mean, I had good sharp carbide cutters on my fly mill, and because of the heat in them, I think it just, they moved a lot. So unfortunately, they weren't as flat to start with as I'd hoped so. So these guys came in here and they started scraping, you know, and just getting it scratched up, and they were looking great, and they took them over to the surface plate, and whoa, we got some holes in this stuff. So they've been having to work hard to get all that worked out. But it's real world. It's just kind of stuff you run into.
And what I'm doing here is, I was going to take it over to the plate, but I realized I didn't deburr it before I had put the color on it. So I'm going to take it back off and deburr it real well, put some color back on it, and we're going to take it over to the plate and see where we started at this morning anyway.
So yesterday, basically, he had just scraped this thing, and so now what he wants to do is just run a stone over it and knock any burrs off, because when you scrape it, you're going to put little burrs in there, and you know, we're not really stoning it flat here, you're just knocking off any burrs, and now you're not going to mess your surface plate up. And then he comes in and we put a little bit of this yellow dye on here, and this yellow dye just kind of helps you see the blue dye better. So you just want a little bit of a glaze on there. It just kind of takes the glare off of that, and then he's going to take this over to the surface plate. I'll tell you what, we'll follow him over there and see how he's doing. All right, so we just clean the surface plate and put down some fresh blue in here, and this is ready to come in here.
And what we do is we make sure our surfaces are clean. Keep your hands, wiping them off with your hands.
You can feel tiny, tiny little pieces of grit or anything else with your fingers, so it was always good to just kind of wipe it. Make sure you're not getting some dirt or dust in there.
Just ease it down onto the plate. And the first thing you want to do is you want to hinge it. And what we're looking for it to hinge at 30% of our part. And
looks like it's about right in here.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad.
And then we hinge this side.
And it's, I don't know where it's hinging.
It looks like it's hinging up in here somewhere.
Yeah, so it's kind of up in here. So it looks like he's not too terribly bad. I mean, it's.
And we just kind of rub it in. And
Okay.
So we're getting
Turn it up there where I can see that.
pretty good surface on it. We're getting close.
I'm going to zoom in there on that.
These are the high spots in the part. So this is the spots that I need to work on and try to get them down to the same surfaces as these holes. And then we'll start working on the PPI.
Yeah. Right now, he's trying to get, coverage in these holes. Now, right now we got big areas of blue. It means you have a lot of areas of contact. Now, ideally, you want to have a bunch of little tiny points of contact in here, but right now that's not important. He's just trying to get these holes out. So his next step is to come in here and he's just going to sit there and scrape on all these blue areas. It's going to take it down a little bit more, repeat the process, come over here, blue it up again, and you just keep doing this over and over and over until you get it where you want it.
Right. Over and over.
I'm here with Lance Balsey, who's down in Florida, and Lance is a more of an advanced student. He's actually been through the scraping class one time before, and he brought a little more advanced project. He's working on a lathe too. He's got a Monarch 10EE, and I'm going to let him kind of explain what he's working on right here.
Well, I brought this, and the lathe bed had already previously been ground, and I had a company take care of the saddle from the underside. The V-way is covered in turkite, and the back flat way as well.
Tell them what turkite is.
Turkite is a plastic impregnated product that I'm not sure what the metal is in it. Do you remember?
I really don't know.
Yeah, there's a metal component to it. You'll have to forgive me for not knowing, but it is basically like wear strip, and it gets applied with a two-part epoxy, and it helps in older lathes that have extreme wear. You're able to actually build up some of these way surfaces so that they'll actually be sort of renewed and have a much longer life.
Yeah, so as the ways wear, the carriage saddle actually starts dropping down. How far had this one dropped? Do you remember?
Well, we had to grind the bed almost 15 thousandths, and then this was in excess of 20 thousandths wear, so there was a lot of wear.
Yeah.
In this. And I believe this turkite was somewhere around 30 thousandths when it was put in.
Okay.
So that gives you sort of a reference to how much wear there was.
Cool.
But what we did yesterday was we measured the saddle and the longitudinal. We straightened it in terms of the longitudinal axis. And now we're trying to work on the perpendicularity of the dovetails on top of the saddle. So basically what I'm doing is moving the alignment of this entire saddle by scraping the turkite underneath.
Yeah, so it was running parallel, but you got the cross slide, and we were measuring on that cross slide, and the cross slide was not square with the bed.
Exactly.
So basically what he's doing is he's having to scrape a little bit out of one side to kind of cock the whole saddle just a little bit to actually get it square, by taking more off of one side than the other.
Yeah, and we're trying to we're trying to make up for about 1/1000th and a half, maybe 2/1000ths rotation.
Okay.
So I'm going to step in here and just scrape off some of this blue off the turkite here that we've already imprinted.
So he came in here with his straight edge, blued it up, and then you can see the blue on here, which is the high points, and he's just very carefully scraping those high spots off of the turkite. We got Lance's bed off of his 10EE, and he has got this reground. He sent this off, had everything reground on the way. So this one is, it's dead nuts on. And you've checked this out, right?
Yeah, we checked it yesterday with the Kingway, and there's no twist in the bed, and it was certainly within 1/10, so it's in good shape.
Good deal. So, and he also had the saddle reground and the turkite. We were showing that a minute ago. When we checked this earlier, though, the cross here was not just perfect. It was off, about 1/1000th and a half or so.
Yeah.
So he's working on that. But I thought this was interesting to show, because this is how you can do measurements, and that sometimes you really have to get your mind wrapped around this. And both Lance and I were like, all right, how are we going to check this? I don't know. So we went and saw Richard, like, oh yeah, you just do this,
Exactly.
So what we've done is we've got an angle block. This is a granite angle block up on here, and Lance took an indicator on this face and sliding the carriage back and forth. He got this face running perfectly true on the indicator, and now we got an indicator on this face, and we're going to sweep it back and forth and see whether his adjustments and his scraping, see where we're at, see how much he was able to take out or add to it.
Right. Yeah, we're trying to basically work on these dovetails of the cross slide to get them perpendicular to the ways of the machine. And again, they were 1/1000 of a half cocked away from the headstock, and we'd like them to be about 2/10 towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll tell you what, we'll check these out and probably show it to you once we look at it ourselves first. So I thought I'd just show you here. We swept this, and it's kind of hard to get the camera in here where you can see it while we're pushing on this. Bodies are just in the way, but what you're seeing is we've still got about 2.5 thousandths coming out there. Actually, it's a little bit worse than it was when we started, but really before we were just getting things blued up where we had good contact. So we've got a starting place now, or Lance does, and he's going to start working on getting this scraped in. I'm here with Rich King, and Rich, of course, is our instructor at our scraping classes, and you know, I've been trying to go around and get some interviews of different people taking the class, but I thought I'd let you guys meet Rich and let him tell you a little bit about his experience and his career and what all we do in the class. So, Rich?
Okay, well, I want to first thank Keith for inviting me down here. It's been an experience, and I'll be honest, I was a little leery about YouTube and having him take the pictures, but it's been a really, it makes me feel good to see myself talking to my buddies and, and teaching you guys out in there that can't come to a class what we do. And it's just an exciting feeling and end of my career to be able to teach guys like Keith and the other people how to do it. And all right, well, I started out teaching everybody to hand scrape to 20 points on a little square, a little block of cast iron, rectangle. And then we power scrape to 20 points. I teach everybody how to hand flake, how to power flake. And you know, I'm a distributor of Biax. It's a German company that sells these scrapers. So I've been using those since about 71. So if you want to learn how to scrape, you know, I say you got to learn how to walk before you can run. So you want to hand scrape first, and then power scrape. And one real simple secret of scraping is to throw away. Somebody wrote me today, he's got a file with a piece of carbide on it. Throw those in the bottom of the toolbox and make or buy a modern hand scraper. Some of those ones, there's one brand in particular that's pretty popular, but they've been selling them for 100 years. And it's the same one I used when I was a kid. But I modernized now to these more flexible shaft scrapers with carbide on it that you can, like Sandvik has got a good one, and then so does Biax. But you have an indexable carbide insert you can clamp to it. But anyway, I teach all that, teach you how to check flatness when you're scraping, and points per inch, how much percentage of contact you get. And we do that for about 2 days. It's a 5-day class. I used to teach 3-day classes, but I gave those up because I just can't do 12-hour days anymore. And so we do a 5-day class. Usually it's about 9 hours, 10 hours a day if we go that far. And then after the 2 days, we start doing rebuilding. Because I want you to learn how to fix your machine that's at home or in your factory. And if I go into a factory to teach a class, they want to send people to classes, but I say if you're a factory that can afford to have me in for a week, we'll work on your stuff, so you're not, working on somebody else's stuff in a class. But here at Keith's, everybody brought a project, and like Lance has got his double E Monarch that's sitting back here that we're working on the saddle and the cross slide. We turkited the cross slide yesterday. We're going to scrape that today. Other guys have brought angle blocks and straight edges, and you can bring anything, compounds for lathes, and I'll show you. I'll stand behind you and I'll help you do it. I've been rebuilding machine tools my whole life. I learned from my dad, and I recall scraping machines when I was probably 10 or 12 in the basement of our house. He'd bring something for me to chicken scratch on, really lightweight scraping. And I had an opportunity to really work on a lot of equipment, all kinds of equipment. So I can usually answer questions on rebuilding where Keith has been doing.
I know the basics. I know the very basics.
He's a hell of a machinist, so that really makes a big difference. He knows the mathematics and geometry of being a machinist, and now he can scrape. So I'm confident that you and Lance, would be able to teach the class in this format. This is a great house that he's got, or a barn, or workshop, and he's got a wonderful wife that's a great cook, and he's got some cute dogs, and like I said, you're never going to meet a nicer guy than Keith, and what a teacher. He can really teach good, and as you know, because you're watching his tube. So.
Well, Richard, thank you for taking some time to do this, and thank you for taking the time to teach us and come down to the classes. And right now we're planning on having another class this late fall, early winter, I think around November. And I got to get some details out on exact dates and so forth, and we'll be advertising that soon. Got a waiting list right now, guys. There's probably about 20-something people on my list. I don't know if everybody on that list will end up being able to come to the class, but if you're interested in taking the class, shoot me an email. I share that list with Richard so that when he's putting together other classes in other parts of the country, he'll let you know about those. And when there's opportunities, you don't have to come take my class. I know John Saunders is teaching the class. His is full. That's in what, July?
Yeah, it's next month.
Okay, June. Okay. So there's other opportunities to do this around the country and the world even. So, but thank you so much for what you do for us.
I wanted to say one more thing.
Sure.
Sometimes somebody can't afford my class. I charge quite a bit for it, but you get a lifetime of knowledge. But if you happen to have a hardship where you're not working, you're unemployed, a lot of times I don't want to give everything away, but I will. It makes me feel good. I say pay forward. You can contact me, and if you have some real hardship, I'll give you the class for free.
Good. Well, thank you, Rich.
You bet.
And looking forward to finishing this class up and having another one down the road. So thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you.
All right, so we got some projects going on. We're in day 4 now of the scraping class, and I thought I'd let you guys kind of see some of the things people are working on. So tell them who you are, where you're from, and what you're working on.
I'm Rex Walters from Los Gatos, California, and I've got what's called a transfer block. I'm trying to scrape in square and parallel, and basically flatten this side nice and smooth. Got it to probably about 20-30 points per inch, and then scrape this very roughly smooth on this side. Tried to make a parallel. I'm out by about 2/10 in this corner. This is the 0 corner. Out a little bit here, so drawing lines across, do 4 passes. It's actually 5 zones, but I'm not going to touch this one. Do 1 pass, then 2 passes, then 3 passes, and 4 passes to make it parallel to the other, or close, hopefully.
Cool. Jeff Clow from the Atlanta area. Class is fun, it's interesting, learning quite a bit. It's pretty tough. Not quite as tiring as I've been led to believe, but it definitely wears on you. On the straight edge here, I'm kind of chasing things. I had a low spot in the middle. I got that down. Now I'm working on these ends came up, so I've got to work here and here, bring those down and meet in the middle. And it's starting to come in. I'm starting to get some spots in the middle. So slow process, but I'm glad we're using the power scrapers now instead of hand scrapers. It makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah, so it's amazing. People say, "What? Just mill it flat." And in the grand scheme of things, when you mill something, it's pretty flat. But when you're talking about a reference surface that's accurate to 10,000ths of an inch, it's not near as flat as you think it is. When you start bluing it up, you start seeing holes and whatever. And that's basically what we're doing, is we're just taking those high spots off and getting it flat. So
kind of chasing them around.
And it's a learning process. And all these guys in here are learning. I'm still learning. So anyway, it gets easier with practice.
Hopefully.
All right, good deal.
I'm Mike Ritchie. I'm from up around Atlanta, out on the Marietta side of Atlanta. And my project is working on a little 6-inch Atlas lathe bed. It was a little bit twisted, but it was only about 2 thousandths high in the middle, so we started in the middle and we're working our way out. Hopefully it'll all end up nice and flat once again, like it probably even better than it did when it came from the factory.
Yeah.
They were little lathes.
Yeah. Atlas made nice stuff, but they were more of a homeowner type lathe equipment, so their quality, I wouldn't say it was poor, but it wasn't as precision as a lot of your better name stuff. But this is a great project to work on, because you can really take it and dial it in and get it tuned in really nice. So
hopefully it'll be a lot nicer than when I started. I hope I don't mess it up too much.
No, I think you'll be fine. Looks like it's going good. So what you think about the class?
I think the class has been great. It's I've learned a lot, and you can read the book, you can watch the videos, but until you have a professional looking over your shoulder telling you what you're doing, holding your hand a little bit to figure out how the pressure goes and which way to go, and then exactly where to scrape and when to stop. That's that you can't learn except by meeting somebody with the experience.
Exactly.
Richard was it.
Great.
Keith's been helpful too.
Well, I'm still learning. I'm getting better though. Good job. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, my name is Mike Place. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm working on a Sheldon lathe. And right now I'm working on the compound and the cross slide, and scraping them in and trying to get all the geometry corrected, and
Good deal. So how far out was it?
It was pretty far out in the sense that I couldn't basically hit on like very few points, although I couldn't get a feeler gauge underneath it. So it wasn't that far out in terms of distance, but it was, I don't know, a little off.
Okay, well, good deal. So what you think about the class?
It's been a really good experience, and really glad that I came down and took it, and I've learned a lot, and there's still more time to go. There's a lot still to learn. The thing about this class is when you go home, you're going to have a good foundation in the basics of scraping, getting something flat, doing some basic alignment. Man, it seems like every project, every machine you work on is a little bit different and has new challenges, and there's just always something new to learn. Yep. You're not going to walk away as a master machinery builder, but you're going to be definitely on the way of knowing the basics of how to get started, and then through other resources, books, and even emailing or calling Rich up to get some advice, you can get these machines rebuilt. Yep, and I've got a basement full of them.
Good deal.
Ready to go.
Good deal. Great. Glad you're enjoying the class, and good luck with your project.
Thanks.
Trying to scrape in a block. It started out, I scraped in one side and got to about 5 points. That's what he told us.
Yeah.
And so then we compared them, and we're trying to make them 90 degrees. So we step scraped it to where we got it to a point. Right now I'm at about 4/10 between the two sides. So now I'm trying to scrape it back flat again and get to 40 points per inch.
And it looks great. You got a lot of contact in there. I mean, it's not quite 40, but that's probably 20, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
when it started out, it was 1 inch thick. Now it's like a 1/2 inch.
Not quite.
It's a learning experience. Like I told Keith yesterday, I've learned 2 things. One is the gnats are worse here in Tifton than Stilson, and I don't know anything about scraping. So.
Well, you know a lot more now than you did when you started, and
Oh, yeah,
this is a classic project, because what we start off teaching the class is just how to get something flat, and that's the basics. That's basically what you're doing with scraping, is getting it flat. But this takes it to the next step. Not only are you getting it flat, you're getting something square. So there's some alignment, and there's some, really having to do some more complex things to get that geometry right. And this is a great project to learn on.
And after I get this back to where it needs to be as far as the PPI, then we have to go back and do the other side back to the same thing. So, and I'm assuming we're going to do the edges too, maybe, and have it really nice looking. Nothing else is going to look good.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Dave Jones from Sumter, South Carolina, and I'm here at the scraping class working on this angle plate right here. And we checked it for square after I scraped one side, and it was off by 5 thousandths about for perfect square. So I've been trying to tweak it and get it back in the square since then, and I'm getting close. We're down about 1 thousandths out. I picked this project because I thought it would be something simple, quick and easy. I was wrong because it was out of square. My mistake.
But you're learning.
Yeah, I'm learning. And I'm learning that I probably don't want to do scraping for a living. It's more work than I want to put forth. And we'll take this over to the plate here in a minute, and we'll go through how to check it on square.
Great. So anyway, I thought we'd show you basically how we're checking these for squareness. It's kind of an interesting way of doing it. So basically, we take the magnetic cylinder square and put on here. We make sure we're always putting it on here the same way and touching the bottom. All our setups are the same from time to time. But now you can come here on the surface plate with a dial indicator and indicate along this plane coming out, and that will basically tell you if you're square or not. And you can see how much you need to move and which direction you need to move things in to get this plane square with the base.
Can you read it? So what I'm doing here is I've got the cylinder square on the angle, and I'm coming in, we're setting a 0 right here, and trying to find our high point. Okay, so don't bump the cylinder square. Okay, so we have our 0, and we're just measuring the high point, and we're going to come down the same length of this is a 4-inch angle plate, and we're going to move down 4 inches and check it, and it'll tell us exactly how much we're off in that 4 inches. So come back, and we're about 7/10 there. So we're 7/10 out of square, and we have to work on it. We'll work on that on the back side when I start doing the other side. But when I started, it was almost 4,000. So
wow,
we've come a long way with it.
My name is Jeff Oates. I live in Dunallen, Florida. I'm working on one of Richard King's straight edge. I've got it pretty flat here, although I've still got a few low spots. And I just mapped them out using a 1-2-3 block and a feeler gauge. And I'm probably going to talk to Richard next to see just what my strategy should be.
Yeah, you're down about 1 thousandth and a half here, so you probably going to have to do some steps or crosses on here, but probably leave those holes alone and just try to get everything down.
The rest of these holes are right at 1 thou.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit deeper. And actually this is 1.5 also.
Good deal. Looks good.
It's coming along.
It's coming along. It's a process.
Yeah. I'm Matt Mock. I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma, and I'm working on one of Richard King's 18-inch straight edges.
Good deal. So tell them about where you're at and process or what have you on there.
I'm in the process of scraping this down. I've got about a 1/2 thou to go. If I quit making holes in it. working to get it flat and try to get it all scraped into at least 20 points to start with, and then I'll flip it over and work on the 45-degree angle, get it scraped in, and try to bring both of them in at the same time.
Good deal. So you've already started on the 45, haven't you?
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, that's looking really nice. You got some good contact in there and coming in, just getting in there.
Yeah,
so,
working it closer.
So what you think about the class?
I love it.
I'm willing to take it again.
Good. Okay. Well, good. Good deal. So great. Thanks a lot.
All right.
My name is Adam Alterman, and I'm from Rainbow City, Alabama. I'm working on an angle plate here, which is nothing more than a piece of metal that's supposed to be exactly perpendicular and perfectly flat. Wasn't that way when I got it, but thanks to this class, Richard King, and the hospitality of Keith Rucker, it is becoming that way. It's a very meticulous process. You can do this by hand scraping with a scraper like this, and that is a skill which apparently I don't possess. It is a very, very difficult task to accomplish with that. With these power scrapers here, at least for me, this is much easier. And you can get in, be very meticulous. You knock off all the high spots, which you mark by bluing on a flat surface plate, and then you stone it, which I had done just a minute ago to knock off any burrs. Put some yellow on it for a contrast medium, go back to the stone, blue it up and see what's high and what's low.
There you go.
Keep going at it until you're done.
That's it.
It's amazing that you can get something to within a 10,000th of an inch this way.
It's awesome. Good deal. It looks like it looks great. I don't know how flat it is, but it looks great.
Pretty flat, but I still have a little bit of work to do.
Okay. Good deal.
Really enjoyed doing this. And I would recommend this class. You don't have to be a machinist. I'm not. I'm just a hobbyist and a avid YouTube viewer. And I was just inspired by watching what other people were doing and had the opportunity here at Stop. Came on down, and it's probably the best 5 days I spent in a long time.
Good deal. Great.
Thank you.
Glad to have you, Adam.
All right.
So we're on the last day of the class and the last moments of the class, actually, and I thought I'd give you an update on, let Lance give you an update on his 10EE project that he started. So
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where the last segment ended, but when this came in, the saddle was not scraped. The turkite on the ways were not scraped such that the cross side angle was perfectly perpendicular. And so I spent probably a day or a day and a half of scraping the ways under the saddle, and now have the dovetails aligned almost 0 or plus 0.2 towards the headstock. I think the limit is about 0.8 towards the headstock for Richard.
Yeah.
And then subsequent to that, I took the cross slide body, and Keith actually, did you put that on your grinder, or was it the?
No, we put the other piece, the
compound?
compound on the grinder. Yeah.
Anyway, I scraped the flats of the cross slide, and then we went ahead and put it on here, shimmed it, checked for height and clearances. We knew we were going to need a little bit of turkite under this, so we put 50 thousandths turkite. It might be 49 thousandths.
I think it's 47, I think, or something like that. Yeah. But
the thicker of the two turkite that I had, we put on the base here, glued that up, and that has now been scraped into the flats on the saddle. And the center of this has been relieved. I don't know if the camera will pick up the bluing on either end, and then there's a blank space in the middle where we want no contact. That way wear, as it moves forward and back, it will allow this to wear down and not get a high spot in the middle.
Right.
Once that was completed, I went ahead, and you can still see residual bluing on the dovetails, and now I've been working on basically mating the inside dovetails to the cross-slide dovetails. And so I'd say I'm probably about 80–85% of the way through that.
Good deal. Well, he's made a lot of progress on it this week, and funny thing is that I've got the bigger version of this, not exactly, but I got the 16-inch Monarch that I'm working on, and I kind of got the turkites on the bottom of my saddle, but I've still got to basically do everything that Lance has done this week. So I've been paying real close attention and watching him over here, because I know I'm about to have to go through the same stuff.
Yeah, he's been walking over here every time I finish a segment. He walks and we catch up, and so I'll probably come back if he'll have me and help him on his.
Yeah,
because his is more than twice the size of this. So.
Yeah, a little bit harder to handle the parts, but yeah, this looks awesome. This is going to be a really, really nice machine when you get done with it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really, we were talking earlier, you can get a fully reconditioned, factory reconditioned 10EE from Monarch, and what is it, about $100 grand?
I don't know. I know there's some really nice ones out there for 20 to 25,000.
Well, I'm talking about if you get Monarch, the
Yep.
factory do one. I think it's $100,000 is what they charge for
Could
a
be.
fully factory reconditioned 10EE. So.
And I wouldn't sell this when it's done for $100,000. I have too much of my personal time in it.
But
no.
you're going to have this is going to be a really nice little lathe. So
I'm
good
looking forward
job.
to it. Thanks again, Keith, for
All right.
hosting it.
Yeah,
It was
man.
an awesome event.
Awesome, man.
All
Thank
right.
you. We'll see you later.
Watching Keith.